on the line now is Democratic State Senator from Virginia, Senator Adam Ebbin, also a Mayor Pete Buttigieg supporter, and he's with us now. Senator Ebbin, you're with John, Elaine Curtis, and Jim Harriman, a Pete supporter who just came all the way from Glastonbury, Connecticut, to hear Mayor Pete. Senator, thanks for being with us, and why are you fired up about Mayor Pete?
Well, I've been fired up since last Mayor June. I've been following his career, and there's only a handful of candidates who I've seen who've simultaneously embodied pragmatism, but also progressive reform, and possess the strong commitment to our nation, and also really the focus on the future more than anything. You know, this election, winning this election, is about far more than just Donald Trump, and we need a positive vision for the country, as well as one that's has an analysis of economically what the challenges we're facing, and I think he can win. And I think he's a unifier. More than anything, we need our country to be unified, especially after the last 3 years or so.
So, Jim, you just heard here from State Senator Adam Ebbin. And by the way, Adam was one of the first senior elected officials in Virginia to back Mayor Pete when his campaign first started. And so I know I'm glad that you called in. Jim, what do you have to say to another Mayor Pete supporter in Virginia, Senator Ebbin?
I'm sorry to start off with I've done an awful lot of traveling in this country, but also foreign travel. And the one thing that I keep seeing is that we are viewed as a diverse group of people, that we just don't have our act together. So, Senator Ebbin, when you start talking about unifying this country, it's not just within the, for the vision of the people in this country. It's the people who are in foreign countries, what their vision of us is. And right now, they see us as a totally divisive group of people who really don't have our act together. So I love the fact that you were talking about unification.
Well, you raised a good point about that perspective, how we're seen overseas, and the fact that he was served in the military means a lot to me, and it means a lot. Also, you were asking your other guest, I think it was, John, are you the gentleman from Connecticut?
That's
Jim.
Yes.
Jim.
Jim. I liked what Jim was saying, too. You know how we're seen around the world, and John, what you're saying is important, but also the military service is important, and who he's going to pick to be around him matters, and I trust him a lot on that. And if I can just add one thing, John, when first time I was campaigning in Connecticut was in 1983 and 1984 for former Senator Gary Hart, and in that race he was challenging a former vice president who was seen as the favorite, and it was a multi-candidate field. Hart was talking about the future, and I think that this race is similar in a lot of ways, because when we first went up to New Hampshire in September of 1983, people were laughing at us when we went door to door that we were there too early, and he was an asterisk in the polls. And then when he beat Mondale, he was seen as a force to be reckoned with, as Pete has proven earlier after Iowa that he's a force to be reckoned with.
So, Senator Ebbin, I know you've seen the attack ads the last 2 days on the Biden campaign against Mayor Pete. They had a digital ad that's gone around, and another one we're seeing here in New Hampshire on TV, which is pretty brutal. So Biden taking the gloves off, I guess, in an act of desperation. So let's get to politics. Can you guys beat Sanders in New Hampshire, Adam?
I don't know. And don't laugh, but here in Richmond, we're so focused on state politics right now, or I should say, the General Assembly, that I haven't been following everything I'd like to. I stay in a place in Richmond without CNN, MSNBC, or Fox, so that's a handicap. And we're actually in here today for a meeting of a committee in 20 minutes. So I don't know enough about the attack ads, but I do know that you've got a next-door neighbor, Bernie Sanders, and another next-door neighbor in Elizabeth Warren that, make the field kind of harder to predict. I don't know that it's Joe Biden that's going to come in, that's going to be the big challenge, or whether it'll be those two.
All right, so Adam, two things. So win or lose in New Hampshire, you're going to be able to claim victory like Clinton did in, what was that, in 92 when he said he was a comeback kid.
Right, after third place finish.
But we won't be the comeback, we'll be the maintaining.
Maintaining.
Yeah, but still, he was down by 15 in New Hampshire 3 weeks ago. Now he's tied. Maybe he wins, maybe he comes in second. You're going to get a bump no matter what happens on Tuesday night. But then you get to Super Tuesday, and then you got to deal with Mayor Bloomberg, who's pumping billions of dollars. He's got 2,000 people in the field. He's paying field organizers, Adam, that were being paid $2,000. He's paying them $6,000. I mean, the money they're pumping in this thing is unbelievable. How do you react to that?
Well, it's challenging, but I would say if Bloomberg doesn't win on Super Tuesday or doesn't have a great day, then that would be such a setback for him. I don't see, I don't see how he can justify going on in a big way. But we'll have to, after Super Tuesday, we're going to have to do some math. A lot of people are going to have to do some math on delegates in the future. It'd be fascinating to see who drops out when after South Carolina or Super Tuesday, and I don't like to handicap what I don't have a strong feeling on yet.
Okay, but I think Jim and Senator Ebbin, I think we all agree, or perhaps my position, Curtis, I'll get you involved here, is I think with the money Bloomberg is spending, that he's got to win states, right? Coming in second and amassing a handful of delegates and third, I just don't think that gets him from. I think if Bloomberg doesn't win like 4 states or 5, where does he go?
I disagree. I don't think Bloomberg is in it to win it. I think Bloomberg is in it to influence the debate, influence the discussion. So we're not talking about people voting from prison cells. So we're not talking about Medicare for all. So we're not talking about these extreme positions. He wants to pull the party back to the center. He wants to win enough delegates to deny Bernie Sanders a first ballot victory. I think that's his real goal, and to get the lowest rate the lowest rate for the TV ads that he's buying.
Because they're not advocacy ads; they're political campaign ads.
They're exactly.
So he gets half the rate.
He gets
so
half price on the ads. He gets more bang for his buck. So we have to say goodbye to our friend here, and I really appreciate it. It was really
Jim,
great
you were
hearing
fantastic. Thank you, Jim Harriman, for being with us. Thank you, Jim. We're going to send you this. Give us your email. Just put your email right on that, and I will send that to you. I want to thank Jim Harriman, driving 2.5 hours to see Mayor Pete. I mean, think about this, Adam. We just had 2 Pete supporters on. One from Massachusetts drove an hour and a half with their 13.
Give us your email address before you leave there, Pete. Yeah.
13-year-old son Sean drove hour and a half, and now you've got Jim Harriman from Connecticut drives 2.5 hours.
I mean, that's commitment.
To see Mayor Pete. That's a lot of Adam Ebbin. That's
something.
That's some commitment you got going on.
I think we've got even more than that. With all due respect to those guys, we've had people from Virginia who drove out to Indiana, and people from all over the country are coming in to help Pete. So I know someone in Alexandria who quit his job as a really high-paid lawyer to go out to assist Mayor Pete in Indianapolis for what I can't imagine is more than not significant wages compared to being a partner in a D.C. law firm. There are people who are committed, and he's inspiring a lot of people. So if I was up there, I would have driven over too. But alas, we're in a committee meeting in Richmond in about 20 minutes. So,
well, I appreciate that, Adam. Final thing here: talk about Virginia on Super Tuesday. Bloomberg was on with us the other day. He said he was going to win Virginia. How do you guys stack up there? How does the Pete campaign stack up for Super Tuesday in Virginia?
There has been a tremendous grassroots movement in Virginia among volunteers who organize themselves, starting on Facebook, at public events. I mean, Pete was was the first person to turn in signatures to get on the ballot in Virginia. We dropped him off and had signatures from all the congressional districts, of course. But people came and got those signatures before Mayor Pete's people in Indiana sought them. And we turned in more signatures than anyone but one because we turned in first. And that was part of the enthusiasm. But they've been at county fairs and festivals and all around starting, early in the summer. And they have meetups, or they call them Pete-ups, and debate parties and all that. There's a real grassroots enthusiasm for Pete.
Well, I don't want to steal his thunder, but I've got one of your contemporaries in the state Senate in Virginia is coming on my show Monday to announce can't say he or she until Monday, their support, probably know who it is, for Mayor Pete in a key area with the constituencies he's not polling well with. I don't know if you've heard about that, but I'm sure you'll be involved in it the next day or so. But comment on the fact that in South Carolina, Mayor Pete has 0 black vote there. He's 0% with the African American community in South Carolina. I mean, I don't think that bodes well. Why are you guys at 0% with the African American vote in South Carolina, Senator Ebbin?
Well, I think that his Douglas plan to make the African American community receive the resources that it needs, not just in education, but job training, a lot of other areas, is not as widely known as it should be. And you saw the Congressman and former Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, Anthony Brown, endorse Pete, who's out there now, on the hustings for votes. And we'll have to see after the primary what that's translated into. I hope that will grow. I think the others who are stronger with African American community, at least at this point, are more national figures who've been known in the community more on a national basis. So that's something we have yet to prove and improve in. But as the primaries go on, I think we'll see more of it.
All right, Senator Adam Ebbin, do you have an official role in the Mayor Pete campaign? Like, are you chairman of Virginia or something?
We don't have a steering committee in Virginia. I've been really active in talking with the national people, but we don't have official roles for officials in Virginia.
Well, you ought to be the chairman of the Pete campaign in Virginia because you're definitely his number one backer. You've been there from the beginning. You've been very enthusiastic, and even coming on our show today, Senator, thank you.
Our Congressman Don Beyer is somewhere in New Hampshire campaigning for Pete now.
Committee meeting.
Okay, thanks.